Bhagavan Sri Ramana, the Immanent One. S. Ram Mohan. To teach without words and to be useful without action, few among men are capable of this. Thus spoke Lao Tse, the Chinese philosopher. In Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, we see the living testimony to this capability. The same Ramana, who is described as the whitest spot in the white space of Advaita, also shines as the pinnacle of compassion and the epitome of empathy. His matchless love, which enveloped all living beings, crow, monkey, or a little squirrel, cascaded at the same time as great devotion towards the chosen deity, Arunachala. In the words of a renowned philosopher, without apparently indulging in act of initiation, the grace of his very presence, nay, the grace that flowed by the very thought of him, gave marvelous solutions to the problems of the devotees. The grace of Sri Ramana is not something which is alien to his philosophy of Advaita. His method of self-inquiry is not something which is a search in the vacuum or in the desert sands of dry. The grace of Sri Ramana is not something which is alien to his philosophy of Advaita. His method of self-inquiry is not something which is a search in the vacuum or in the desert sands of dry Sunya Veda. The man who starts self-inquiry in the Ramana way gets showered and tempered with the grace of Sri Ramana. In his book of Zen Buddhism, Chris Humphreys explains this phenomena. When prajna is attained, karuna or compassion, its counterpart, its undivided opposite, is free to work its way. Understanding the transcendental reality as the immanent one, as the undivided self, is prajna. For a person who is established in the self, his compassion freely envelops the entire universe. It is as true of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi as it is true of Buddha. When one gets established in the state of Advaita, the false notion that the creation exists apart from the self gets destroyed. He sees the entire creation in his self and as himself. This is what Humphreys mentioned as the law of life, which manifested in the life of Sri Ramana Maharshi. Every act of Sri Ramana in his life is a vindication of this law of life, also of his unlimited compassion. During Virupaksha days in summer, he used to shift to the mango cave as water sources used to dry up around Virupaksha cave. Near the mango cave, at midday, women used to come there for water with heavy loads of grass on their heads. While narrating this, Sri Bhagavan said with great compassion, "Poor people, they start from their homes early in the morning. After partaking a little gruel, they go up the hill and secure a headload of grass. As soon as they reached the mango tree cave, they knew they were near the great stream of love. They used to drop their bundles, bend down, and ask the Swami to first throw water down their backs. After having received the shower of water on their scorched backs, they used to recover from their exhaustion. Sri Bhagavan would pour water in their cupped hands to quench their thirst. They alone could experience the great joy of being splashed with water from the holy hands of Bhagavan, as they were bathed by his grace. As he himself remarked, it is only when one experiences the oppressive heat that one knows the relief of the coolness of water. He knew that they would be coming at the hour and would be waiting, ready with water. His thought flowed with compassion when he knew that others would not allow them to touch the water in the holy tank as they were from the lower castes, a practice common to that day bygone era now eradicated by law. And there was no water anywhere else. In his own words, they cannot have food unless they sell grass and get money. They have children at home and they must reach home to look after their children. They come with hope that Swami will supply water. He had his own method of feeding them. He used to mix a lot of water with a small quantity of rice which he had with him. After adding salt and dry ginger to this gruel, he used to feed them this ambrosia. The taste of this gruel, which was like nectar, ended their hunger as well as their bondage. It is mentioned in Sri Rudram that the milkmaids are the first ones to identify Lord Shiva in the resplendent break of the dawn. Likewise, these illiterate grass cutters could reach him and his grace reached out to them. The scriptures say that a Jivan Mukta becomes one with the cosmic spirit. He not only gets submerged in its boundless peace but also manifests its great creative powers. Scriptures refer to this as Sarshtita, that is, for one who is established in the Brahman, any flash of thought, even if it did not exist before, comes into fruition, that is, it happens. This is the concept of miraculous grace. It is beyond time and space. The great grace of Ramana flowed through his right hand, which he kept over the heart of his dying mother. The latencies of several previous births got telescoped into few seconds of experiences through this miraculous touch. Prajna subsided and mother was liberated. Likewise, the very last look at Bhagavan's benignant face, all the bondage of the holy cow Lakshmi were surrendered. Within few minutes, she merged with the infinite. Her liberation was confirmed by Bhagavan in his own words. Thus, Sri Ramana Maharshi exemplifies the statement of Sri Shankara Bhagavat Pada in his Subramanya Bhujangam. Jayatvam Sadha Mukti Dhana Isa Suno. O Lord, the great Son of Ishvara, who bestows the great gift of liberation on your devotees, victory unto thee. Sri Bhagavan, who is considered as the very incarnation of Skanda, likewise gave the great gift of his matchless grace to all those who came to him, whatever may be their status in life. His grace knew no limits or boundaries. It was not confined to the chosen few only. It reached out to all, from the lowest of the low to the greatest of the great. In his presence, their consciousness used to undergo a transformation. The experiences which they considered very significant hitherto started fading away, and they had the great spiritual awakening of oneness within the universal spirit for which they longed through the ages. When Sri Narayana, at the height of his yogic practices, trembling and suffering with the flame of Kundalini rising to his head, surrendered to Bhagavan, Sri Ramana effortlessly, with the cool breeze of his looks, relieved him of his misery. Similar was the experience of Sri Janaki Mata. When great yogic powers arose within her, she found it impossible to control them. With a trembling frame, while she waited for his grace, the bending look of Sri Bhagavan fell on her. Those few seconds were enough to put an end to her months of agony, and she was plunged into the great ocean of peace in which she lived gracefully thereafter. His grace reached out to all alike. Sri Bharati Krishna Tirtha, Jagadguru Shankaracharya of Puri, had high reverence for Bhagavan. recognizing him as the true universal Guru. Declining the special seat offered to him when he visited the ashram, the Shankaracharya sat on the ground before the great master and continued to look at him. Sri Bhagavan looked at him with unwavering compassion, neither spoke. A boundless river of peace flowed by. The Acharya asked for a clarification on Avasya Yoga. When the Acharya expressed his inability to understand the verbal explanation, Sri Bhagavan just showered his benign look on him for about half an hour. With tears of joy flowing down his face and with hands folded on his head, the Jagat Guru exclaimed, "Bhagavan, I have now understood it." As the living embodiment of the transcendental reality, Sri Bhagavan lived as the one beyond all ashramas and all varnas. He was the true Adhyashrami. He had been the great light to people of all ashramas and varnas. In his own words, he belonged to the famed genre of Sukha, Rishabha, Jadabharata, and others. He is the one who transcended everything and is truly universal. In his own words, I do not consider anyone to be my disciple. I have neither sought Upadesha from anyone, nor do I give Upadesha. If the people call themselves as my disciples, I do not approve or disapprove. In my view, all are alike. The only authority he recognized is the great cosmic power which brought him to reside on the holy hill. He did not even give a name to himself. He says, "By what name am I to be called? I myself do not know." At the young age of 16, the doors of Brahmanubhava opened within him and he continued to be in that state of bliss till he cast off his mortal frame. Questioned about his identity as Lord Subramanya, he replied that he considers himself as Subramanya in the same way as an idol is placed as Subramanya. He lived in that exemplary level of Gunathita, one who has transcended the gunas. At the same time, he also observed Samanya dharmas for the benefit of the masses. Though he was an exemplary Atyashrami, he manifested the facets of all the ashramas. On the very first day of his arrival at Arunachala, when someone offered to take him for the tonsure of his head, he accepted it as God's mandate. At the same time, he did not follow the ritualistic steps of taking a dip in the pond after a tonsure. The cosmic Lord himself bathed him with showers from above. He wore only a pure white loincloth. Like a sannyasi, he carried a water pitcher in his hand, but never carried the sacred staff, the other mandatory accompaniment. Thereafter, he used to sport matted locks. Later, when the same barber appeared on a full moon day in the Pachayamman temple, Sri Ramana considered it as a divine will and agreed to get tonsured. He lived forever in bliss. Nobody had ever seen him asleep. Anytime whenever people around him woke up during night, they could see him fully awake. At the same time, with infinite compassion, he took care not to disturb the devotees' sleep when he had to go out in the night. It is true that, as Sri Ramakrishna said, great Mahatmas like Sri Ramana do not have a gross mind like we have. We have minds which are bundles of thoughts. But as Sri Ramana himself says, Jnanis have Suddha Manas, which is full of grace. Suddha Manas channelizes their grace to all living beings and empathizes with all creation. They share our joys and agnis. Like a crystal, which manifests different colors when lights from colored objects fall on it. The purified mind of a jnani empathizes with all that come within its range. Bhagavan too exemplified this on several occasions. The gentle cool breeze of Sri Ramana blew over everybody and cooled the heat of their samsara. His simplicity likewise was remarkable. Like a child, he played with all children. He played by carrying them occasionally on his back. He used to swim across the temple pond, often carrying blessed kids on his back. The transcendent Guru, Sri Ramana, tells us that Guru is really the self, not the external entity. Those who do not understand that the Jnana Guru is the formless supreme space, though he appears in the human form, commit the vilest of crimes. Guru Vachaka Kovai 274. Sri Bhagavan's directive is straight and simple. Steadfastly abide in the existence consciousness. If the mind is fixed in sadhana, divine grace will rise from within on its own and subjugating the mind, will take it to the heart. Divine grace is nothing but the perfect clarity of our existence, the form of the Supreme Self, Paramatman. The Maharshi, with his resplendent spirituality and immanent divine grace, continues to illumine entire humanity. In the words of Sri Shankara, thus having crossed the mighty ocean of samsara, they enable others also to cross the same with no apparent motive in doing so. He further explains the phenomenon in his Praudhanubhuti. Like a well-ripened fruit, the Guru has attained full Swanubhava and thus goes beyond the mighty magic of duality. Yet, to teach the aspirant the great truth of Advaita, he recreates his mind and continues to live in the mortal frame. The ever-living presence of Sri Ramana exemplifies this. After living in that state, Sri Bhagavan continues to guide all of us through his dazzling cosmic presence. Let us pray unto him in his own words. O Arunachala, can I have then any grievance? Do whatever thou wilt, but grant me, O beloved, only ever increasing love for thy holy feet. Necklet of 9 gems. Om Shri Ramanarpanamastu.